Namaskar. Welcome to this summary session of the 13th to the 15th Adhyaya. We start with the gratitude towards the Lord, with whose grace everything is possible. We pray to this Guru Shishya Parampara through which this knowledge is preserved, transmitted so as to reach us. I pay my respects to my Guruji, Pujya Guruma, with whose grace I'm able to learn the scriptures and share this understanding with you. We start with a prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So 13th Adhyaya is called the Kshetragnya Vibhaga Yoga, and this Adhyaya gives the crux of the message of the Gita Ji, which in itself is the crux of the message of the Upanishads. In the first 6 Adhyayas, Bhagavan shows us the true nature of the Jiva Swarupa, what is important for him. First, in the second Adhyaya, he showed the Atma Swarupa of the Jiva. Then the third Adhyaya was Karma Yoga, Karma Sannyasa Yoga. And then the 6th Adhyaya was Atma Sanyama Yoga, that is the meditation, dhyana, how we can do this. And from the 7th to 12th Adhyaya, Bhagavan talked about the Ishvara Tattva, Ishvara Swarupa. And then finally in the 12th Adhyaya, he talked about the Bhakti Yoga. And from the 13th to 18th Adhyaya, now Bhagavan talks about the assimilation of all these knowledge, how we can understand that Jiva and Ishvara are the same. So our scriptures tell us that most of our problems, almost all of our problems, are because of the ignorance of our own self. We are not able to understand our own real self. And that is the jnana of our own Atma Swarupa. And this creates a kind of an illusion, a bhranti, with which we see the world in a very different form. So that's why only Atma Jnana, self-knowledge, is the solution for freedom from all these daily miseries, from all the bandhana. So in the 10th Adhyaya, Bhagavan showed his vibhutis in different areas, how we can start seeing the Lord. In the 11th Adhyaya, Bhagavan showed his Virata Swarupa, the Vishwarupa Darshana, and how Jagata is the same as Ishvara. Finally, this makes us eligible to understand Bhakti. We can do this, and this Bhakti has been shown in the 12th Adhyaya, the Saguna and the Nirguna Bhakti. And then in the 3rd Adhyaya, the main subject matter is Atma Jnana, self-knowledge, and how Ishvara and Jiva are one and the same. In the same Adhyaya, Bhagavan talks about the Sadguna Sampatti, the 12 moral values which are important for all seekers, which make us eligible for this Atma Jnana. So let us start with the first shloka of the 13th Adhyaya, where Bhagavan starts with his own words. There is no question of Arjuna, and he says, Idam Shariram Kshetram iti abhidiyate. This body that you can see, Pratyaksha Pramana, which is seen directly, it can be seen and experienced, is nothing but the Kshetra. Kshetra itself means a field with which you can plow the field and you can harvest the crop. Similarly, in this body, we can do the karmas and get the karma phala, which will determine our onward journey, our next janama. And Bhagavan says, Etat yah vetti kshetragnya. So one who knows this, all this, the knower of this is called the Kshetragnya. And Bhagavan says, one who knows these two elements truly have said this. And in the second shloka, Bhagavan says, Kshetragnam chapi mam vidhi. So he says, know me as the Kshetragnya in all these bodies. All these bodies, there is a knower. So though the bodies are the different, Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata, Bhagavan says, in all these bodies, the bodies are different, the forms are different, the names are different, but behind those, all the differences, there is one undivided Kshetragnya, and that Kshetragnya, that Atma Swarupa, that soul is me, Bhagavan says. And that is the true knowledge. This knowledge of the Kshetra and Kshetragnya, this clear distinction between these two parts is Bhagavan says that this is the real knowledge. Yatyaj Jnanam Matam Mama. I am that, I am nothing but Brahmasmi. Atma and Paramatma are not different. Jeev and Ishwar are Aikya. I am the complete, unlimited, Sarva Vyapak Swarupa. All these understanding is the ultimate Jnana. So this shloka itself is like a Mahavakya of the Upanishad, which gives us the ultimate Jnana of the Upanishads. In the third shloka, Bhagavan says, I'll describe to you what is a Kshetra along with all its modifications, Vikara, and along with all its origin, Yata, and along with all its Prabhava, the energies which are working. And all this you hear from me in brief, Bhagavan says. In the next fourth shloka, Bhagavan tells him that this is nothing new. This has been going on since tradition in ages. Rishi bhi bahur Gita. Rishis have sung their glories. Chando bhi vividai putak. Vedas have also said the same thing. Brahma Sutra, Padas have also described this. And Hetu Madbhir Vinishchitaihi. By logic, this has been decided finally and completely about the Kshetra, Kshetrajna. This is not something that is new that I am going to tell you. And then Bhagavan starts describing the Kshetra, which consists of 24 elements. He says, Mahabhutani Ahankaraha, the 5 great elements and the ego, Buddhi Avyaktamevacha, intellect and the Maya, Shakti of the Lord, Indriyani Dashekancha, all the 10 sense indriyas, the 5 Karmendriya, 5 Jnanendriyas, along with Panchachendriya Gocharaha, the 5 objects of the senses. All these 24 elements, Bhagavan says, makes the Kshetra. So essentially, Kshetra is this Sthula and the Sukshma Jagata, and all the Sthula and Sukshma Jivas, all these form the Kshetra. And Bhagavan then describes the modifications, Vikara of the Kshetra, Prakriti, Ichha, Dvesha, Sukham, Dukkham, Sanghata, Chetana, Dhrutihi, all these Sukshma Sharira, all our Antakarana Vrittis, all these Dhruti Shakti, all the Sukha, Dukkha, all this, whatever we feel, the pleasure, pain, all these sensations, everything, etat Kshetram Samasena. This is in brief what is Kshetra, along with all its modifications. So Bhagavan makes it very clear that these Sthula and Sukshma things are considered part of the Kshetra. And then before describing the Kshetrajna, Bhagavan describes his 20 moral values in the 5 shlokas from the 7th to the 11th shloka, which are very famous: Amanitvam, Madambitvam, Ahimsa, Shantirarjavam, Acharya Upasanam, Shaucham, Sairya Matram, Vinigraha. And then finally he goes on to so these moral values are very, very important. They are Samanya Dharma for all of us humans. We need to know this. What I expect from others, I should do to others. What I don't expect from others, I should not do to others. And these values are very important because if we imbibe these values, our life can completely change. So it's like a mirror where we have to look within. We don't have to look for these values outside and point out that this person does not have this value. This is actually for us to look within. So Amanitvam is absence of desire for respect. Adambitvam means absence of hypocrisy. Ahimsa is non-violence. Non-violence in terms of body, mind, and even speech. Shanti is glad acceptance, forgiveness, accommodativeness. Arjavam is simplicity, straightforwardness, oneness in our mind, body, and thoughts. Acharya Upasanam, taking shelter of a guru to understand Vedanta. Shaucham, purity, which is outer purity, but the inner purity is more important. But we have to start from the outer purity in the cleanliness in certain outer areas and then going on to inner Antakarana purity. Stairyam, steadfastness or firmness in our goals, in our actions, in our yoga sadhana, in our sadhana that we utilize, the karma, bhakti, gnana, upasana. Atma vinigraha, mind control or indriya sanyama is also very, very important. Indriyartheshu vairagyam, dispassion, vairagya from all these objects of the senses. Anahankara, lack of false pride for our own self, getting the pride of this body-mind complex. Janma mrityu jara vyadihi, in the birth, death, old age and disease. Dukkha dosha anudarshanam, we see the pain and the follies repeatedly. The sansara chakra, right from starting from janma, there is all this dukkha, childhood, adulthood, and all these diseases, old age, death, and then again the new janama. All these we have to see that there is this dukkha dosha anudarshanam. Saktihi, lack of attachment. Anabhishwangaha, putra dara gruhadishu, lack of too much affection towards children, spouse, and home. Nityam cha samachit tattvam, ishta nishta papattishu, always to have the mind in samatva, in balance, in all the anishta, ishta, whatever we like, dislike, whatever happens to us, whatever comes to us, we should take it in the right spirit. And then Bhagavan says, Mai chananya yogena bhakti avya vicharini. Bhagavan says, constant connection, my one-pointed devotion Vivitta Desha Sevitvam, to remain in a secluded place, in an isolated place for doing any of the spiritual sadhana. Arati Chana Sansati, avoiding too large get-togethers, because spiritual journey is one which we have to do on our own. We don't need too many people or company for this kind of journey. And finally, in the 11th shloka, Bhagavan describes the main steps of the spiritual journey, the Atma Gnana, Adhyatma Gnana Nityatvam, pursue the study of the self-knowledge on a regular basis, Shravanam, Manana, Nididhyasana on a regular basis, Tattva Gnan, Artha Darshanam, keeping the benefit of the knowledge of the self constantly as our goal in our mind, Etat Jnanam iti Proktam. These values in itself, Bhagavan says, is the real knowledge. In my view, Agnanam Yadata Anyatha. Everything else, he says, is ignorance of the self, is Agnana. Anything apart from or opposite to what Bhagavan has said, Amanitvam, Manitvam is a Agnana. So similarly, Adambitvam, Damba is Agnana. So all these Bhagavan says, anything other than what I have said is Agnana. And then he pledges to tell Arjuna what is his Atma Gnana. He says, Yat Gneyam Tat Pravakshami. What is worth knowing, I'll tell you very clearly. Yat Gnatva Amrutam Ashnite. After knowing which, you shall attain immortality. Because Amruta is our own Atma Swarupa, which is Najayate Namriyate Kadachita. It is neither born, neither it dies. Anadimat Param Brahma. This Brahma, this Tattva is Anadi. It has no beginning. It is Param. It is highest. It is the best. Na Sat Tat Na Asat iti Uchyate. Which is not Sat, which is not easily seen, which cannot be immediately seen, and which we cannot deny its existence, because we always know that I am, I can always feel that, and that's why that direct experience that we have of our existence we cannot deny. And then Bhagavan starts describing the Tattva in different ways. Here he describes as Sarvatah Panipadam Tata, all hands and feet belong to him, his faces are on all the sides, ears are on all the sides, and pervades all the three lokas. That is Atma Tattva, Brahma Tattva. And then he describes his Brahma Tattva with contradictory words, saying that Sarvendra Guna Pasam. It is because it illuminates all the senses. It is a Kshetrajna, but it is also devoid of all the Sarvendriya. It is devoid of all the senses. Though it illuminates the senses, it is not attached to any of the senses. Similarly, it is unattached to all the beings, but it nurtures Sarva Bhuta Cha Eva. It nurtures and sustains all the beings. It is devoid of all the three guns, but it is knower of all the three guns. So all these contradictory words, Bhagavan continues and says, Bahi Antascha Bhutanam. It is outside as well as it is inside all the embodied beings. Acharam Charam Evacha. It pervades all the living as well as the non-living beings. Sukshma Tat Tvat Tadavigneyam. Because it is so subtle, so sukshma, it cannot be known clearly. Tat Durastam Cha Antike. It is very far, yet it is very close. Very far for people who don't know it, don't understand it. Very close for person who has realized this, the wise people. And the same way, Upanishads, even the Ishavasya, Tadejati, Tandejati, Tadure, Tadvantike, Tadantarasya, Sarvasya, Tadu, Sarvasyasya, Bhayata. It shows all these contradictory words it uses to describe this Tattva. Avibhaktam cha bhutesho. It is one in all the bodies. The bodies look divided, they look differentiated, they look different. But though these bodies appear different, within the body, the one which sustains all these bodies is Avibhaktam, it is undivided. It says, Bhuta Bhartuta Chachkniyam. Know that it is the nurturer of all the beings in the form of Vishnu. It is Grasishnu, it is the destroyer, Shiva, and it is Prabhavishnu, it is the creator, like Brahma. So all these are manifestations of that one Almighty, and all these have different functions, different roles, which have been assigned to everyone. So Bhagavan is the creator, sustainer, destroyer of the universe. It is the light of all the illuminous objects like sun, moon. It also illuminates tamasa paramuchyate. It also illuminates ajnana, ignorant. I understand, I know that I am ajnani, I have this ignorance. And gnanam, gneyam, gnanagamyam, the virtues, the atma tattva, and the fruits of knowing it, moksha. All three are ingrained in the heart of each and every being. We don't have to look outside. This sarvasya vishtitam, it is sitting inside. Bhagavan Tattva is sitting inside our heart as a conscience, and that's why our spiritual journey is an inner journey. So Bhagavan says, Iti kshetram tatha jnanam. This is what I am described you in brief, kshetra, kshetrajna, and madbhakta, my devotee, after knowing this, attains my undivided self, madbhava upapadyate, it attains me only. So with this, he summarizes the kshetra, kshetrajna, Gnana, and now starts another chapter where he calls it the Prakriti Purusha Viveka. There are different words used for this. Prakriti is the Maya, Purusha is the consciousness, and both of them are Anadi, they have no beginning. And one says all the modifications and attributes that whatever happens arises from Prakriti. Purusha does not have any modifications or Vikara, Guna, it is Trigunatita, whereas Prakriti is a Traigunya, it is consisting of three gunas. And in the 20th shloka, Bhagavan says that for Kartrutva, the doership feeling of the body, mind, sense complex, Prakriti or Maya is the main reason, because all the Karya happens in the Maya or the Prakriti Kshetra. Whereas for the feeling of the pleasure and pain, the knowing, the knowledge part of the Bhoga, Bhoktrutva, the main reason is the Purusha, because consciousness knows, is a knower, it is a Chit Swarupa, Chaitanya Swarupa, it is a knower, Bhoktrutva is in the Purusha. Then Bhagavan says that it's because of the communion of the Purusha and the Prakriti that the creation starts, and all this Purusha in proximity to the Prakriti knows the gunas which arise from the Prakriti, and this association is the reason for the birth of all the jivas, Sat Asat Yoni. And then still after the birth is happened, but still this Tattva is Upadrashtacha Anumantacha. So it is a seer, it is an observer, it works like a Sakshi. Anumanta means it gives permission for everything. Bharta Bhokta Maheshwar, it is a nurturer, it is Almighty God, and it is also called Paramatma. So the same Atma Tattva is also called Paramatma. There is no difference. Asmin Dehe Purusha Para, which resides in the body of all the beings. And the great benefit of knowing the self or the Atma, Bhagavan says, whoever knows this clearly, Purusha and the Prakriti will all its gunas in any situation, Sarvartha Vartamanopi na Bhuya na Abhijayate, will not be born again, will be eternal free and will develop moksha. In the next shlokas, Bhagavan describes the yoga sadhana, how we can attain this Atma Tattva. He says somebody attains this Atma Tattva by meditation, by their pure inner self. Some attain this by the Gnana Yoga, whereas some others by Karma Yoga, they attain this. But there are some others who don't have access to any of these scriptures, Guru or anything. But just by following those wise people, listening to those wise people and becoming that devotee, with listening with faith and commitment, Shruti Parayanaha, they also cross this ocean of Sansara Chakra, that life and death, and they also get moksha. So creation is born from the communion of the Kshetra, Kshetragna. Bhagavan says very clearly that this is how the creation starts. And then he says what is the true vision of this Gnani. Whose Gnani Purusha has a Samatva. They can see everything as, they can see the changeless in the ever-changing bodies, and that is a true vision. They see this everywhere, Sarva Vyapaka, and everywhere they can see the same thing. Similarly, by seeing the same Brahma everywhere, that person does not hurt anyone, neither he disrespects anyone, does not hurt himself also, and attains highest path. Similarly, this person, though sitting in the karma, also understands that Atma itself is a Karta Swarupa, it is in non-action, and one who sees this, sees the reality. Bhagavan says, this is the way how we can do Prakriti, Purusha, Viveka, or how we can understand this clearly. And what is the benefit of seeing this Brahma Tattva pervading all? Bhagavan says, in all the different bodies or beings, one who sees that one Atma pervades all, and that same Atma pervades as all the Adhisthana, and then he attains the Brahma Tattva. And then finally in the last few shlokas, Bhagavan says this Paramatma is with Anadi, is without beginning, it is devoid of gunas, it is changeless, it lives in this body, does not do any action, and it is not neither attached to any actions or results. And then Bhagavan gives two examples how we can understand this. One example is Akash, the space, and showing that how Atma Tattva is a Sangha, does not get attached. Just like the vast Akasha, Sarvagatam Akasham, Saukshmyat, na upalipyate, because it is very subtle, it does not get attached. Similarly, Tatha Dehe Sarvatra, in all these bodies, the Atma also remains unattached to this body. And the next example he gives is the example of the sun. Just as one sun illuminates his entire world when it rises, O Arjuna, similarly, one Kshetragna illuminates all this Kshetra. It is a Chit Swarupa, and this is how we have to understand. And finally, in the last shloka of this 13th Adhyaya, Bhagavan says that this knowledge of Kshetra, Kshetragna, this difference clearly one understands by Gnana Chakshucha, by the wisdom eyes have been opened. He is relieved from all the bondages, Bhuta Prakriti Moksham Cha, He is relieved of all the bondages and attains the highest self, attains the liberation, moksha. And we must remember that adhikaritva comes only with viveka, tyaga, vairagya. Gnana chakshu then opens up, and the gnana sadhana after this only we can attain the Atma Swarupa or Atma Tattva. The 13th Adhyaya talked about many different subjects. Now we shall look at the 14th Adhyaya. Okay, now we shall start the 14th Adhyaya, which is the Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, communion with the Lord by understanding the differences or the distinction of the three gunas, the Sattva, Rajas and the Tamas. So in this Adhyaya, Bhagavan gives the detailed description of these three gunas. The Sattva, Rajas, Tamas starts by showing that the creation is because of the communion of Prakriti, Purusha, and how these attachments to three gunas cause the bondage, and how each guna binds us, how do you know which guna is working, and what is the onward journey of the jiva, and finally talks about the Trigunatita, how to transcend these three gunas. And in answer to the Arjuna's question, where he asked three questions, he talks about the Trigunatita Lakshana. So let's say how the 13th Adhyaya described the Kshetra, Kshetragya, Viveka, the values of the life, Sattuna, Sampatti, and then finally the Atmajnana and the Jiva Brahma Aikya. 14th Adhyaya talks about the Tvam Pada Vistar, the three gunas, how these three gunas determine the human behavior, how we can imbibe more Sattva Guna, and how we can transcend the three gunas. And finally in the 15th Adhyaya, Bhagavan will describe about the Purushottama Yoga, his own introduction. So in the 14th Adhyaya also starts with Bhagavan, his words. He says, he pledges to Arjuna that I shall tell you again, Param Bhuya Pravakshami, the highest knowledge, Gnananam Gnanam Uttamam, the highest knowledge, knowing which all the munis have attained the highest state, Param Siddhi Ita Kataha, liberated from all miseries. And this is the Paravidya, the knowledge of the Atman. And then Bhagavan says, Idam Gnanam Upashritya, having taken the shelter of this knowledge, Mama Sadharmyam Agataha, they have achieved my eternal form. Sarge Apina Upajayante, they don't need to take birth in this world. They are also liberated from this, and Pralayana Vathanti. They are not miserable or painful at the end of the world. So that is the great benefit of knowing this Atma Tattva. The communion between the Purusha and the Prakriti creates a creation. Bhagavan says, Mama Yoni Mahad Brahma. My Prakriti is a great Yoni, it's a great womb. And Bhagavan says, Tasmin Garbham Dadamyam. I plant the seed of creation in this Prakriti. O Arjun, from all this, the entire existence comes to be born from this Sanyoga. And Bhagavan in the next shloka tells how he is the Father, the universal Father. He says, O Arjuna, all these beings, Sarva Yonishu Murtaya, Sambhavantiyaha, who are created from all the wombs, says from those Prakriti is the great womb, it is a Mahat Yoni. Aham Bija Pradah Pita, I am the Father who plants the seeds in all these yonis. And then Bhagavan starts describing the three gunas, how they cause bondage for the jiva. He says, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas are the three gunas which arise from the Prakriti, because they are present in Prakriti, they also come in from the Karana, they come to the Karya, and they are the ones which bind all the human beings. Dehe Dehinam Avyayam, the eternal soul Jivatma that lives inside this body is bound by these three gunas, and this is indestructible, Avyayam. So what is Sattva Guna? Bhagavan says Sattva Guna is Nirmalatva. It is a pure, it is Shuddha, Prakashakam, Anamayam. It is luminance. It creates luminosity. It illuminates the knowledge, and it is healthy. It is Anamayam. There is no Ashuddhi. There is no disorder. There is no disease. It is very healthy. But how does it bind? Bhagavan says, one Sukha Sangena Badhanati. It binds by happiness. Happiness creates a desire to get more and more happiness. Gnana Sangena Badhanati. By knowledge too. By the pride, it also binds us. And then Bhagavan says, what is this Raja Guna? How Raja binds? Raja Ragatmakam Vidhit. Colors of revision causes Moha. Trushna Sanga Samudbhavam. Arises by attachment to desires. Karma Sangen Dehinam Tatni Badnati. And binds by the actions, by the attachment to the actions, by the Sanga to the Karma Sanga. And the Tamas arises from Agnana, from ignorance. It deludes all the people with moha, sarvadehinam, and it creates pramad, alasya, nidrabihi, negligence, laziness, and excess sleep, and that is how the tamas guna binds. And then finally summarizes again how sattva binds us by happiness or joy, rajas binds us by inspiring into action, tamas binds us by the gnana and inspires us into carelessness or pramada. So how do we know which guna is working when? One says, O Arjuna, Sattva is working well when it suppresses the raja and the tama. So when the sattva becomes predominant, the raja and the tama get suppressed. And similarly, when rajas become predominant, the sattva and tamas are get suppressed. Whereas when tamasa becomes predominant, the sattva and the rajas are also suppressed. So this is how each guna works with the interplay of the different gunas. So how do I know which one is guna is working now at this moment? Sattva guna, raja guna or tama guna. Bhagavan says when all the senses in the body, five Jnanendriya, are involved in illuminating the knowledge of the outside world with a calm mind, know that this is a sattva guna on the rise. Know that when rajas is on the rise, when the greed and the actions begin, when the mind is not steady, ashama and spruha, there are intense desires, a lot of greed, a lot of actions, then the the rajas guna is on the rise. Whereas the tamas is on the rise when the mind is clouded, the body becomes lazy, there is dereliction from duty, and undue attachment hampers our discrimination. So what is the onward journey? Bhagavan describes when the sattva is predominant, when the body comes to an end, this jiva obtains a higher loka, where there is no impurity, amalan, pratipadyate, there is no impurity or there is no mala. But if rajas is on the rise, when the people leave their body, if the tamas is on the rise, they will attach, with the rajas is on the rise, they will attach, they will be born in the manushya yoni, whereas if the tamas is on the rise, they will attain the animal species in the next birth. So essentially, Bhagavan is trying to tell us that from tamas, from rajas, we have to go towards sattvika. And only if we attempted all these throughout our life, sattva will be predominant at the time of death, which will determine our onward journey. And this is the main practice of the spiritual journey, having sattvic thoughts, having sattvic achara, actions, having sattvic behavior, having sattvic foods, sat ahara, sattvic reading, nam smarana, bhakti, sadguna sampatti, satsanga, swadhyaya, Gita scriptures, and finally the teaching is to transcend these three gunas to understand our eternal self or our own Atma Tattva. So Bhagavan here in this shloka talks about how the gunas are related to the karma and karma are related to the karma phala. The fruits of the good, auspicious action, satkarma are sattvic and pure. Rajasa to phalam dukkham, the fruits of the rajasa karma are pain, miseries, and tamasa phalam is ajnanam. And the fruit of tamasa agnan is ajnana. And then Bhagavan repeats again the same thing for our better understanding. Says Sattva Guna leads to knowledge, Raja creates greed, and that is how it binds. Tamas leads to carelessness and delusion, and the root of which is ignorance of the self. And our onward journey is also dependent on our guna and karma. Sattvic people attain higher lokas, Rajasic people attain the Manushya loka, and those who are seated in tamasic tendencies, they attain the lower species. And then Bhagavan changes the subject. He talks about the transcendence of the three gunas. He says, Yada drashta anupashyati, when the wise sees that I am different than the doer, and when one knows my own self is above the three gunas, triganatita, then attains my highest self. Bhagavan says, Shuddha Chaitanya Maya Sarupa or the Atma Sarupa is what one tries to attain. And clearly shows the benefit of knowing the self. When the self knows that it is beyond the three gunas which are the cause for body and birth, he is relieved from all the miseries of the birth, death, and old age and attains immortality. So with this, Arjuna asks the three questions. What are the signs? How do I know who is the wise person who has crossed these three gunas? Second question is, what is his behavior or conduct in life? And how does one cross these three gunas? He wants to know those sadhana. Answer to the first question, Bhagavan says that, hey Arjun, in all these sattva, rajas and tamas, that is knowledge, actions and delusion, if one does not have raga dvesha, does not have anguish that while it is in action, it should, it should remain with you, and neither it is na nivruttani kankshate, nor does it desire that they are relieved. All this is because of raga dvesha. The answer to the second question, kimachara, what is the behavior of this wise person? Says udasinavat asina. He is seated in equipoise, is unaffected. He knows that gunaya na vichalyate, that does not get affected by the gunas. Guna vartantaha. Guna vartantaha means guna works in the other guna and understands that his own swarupa is self, is observer, it's a sakshi swarupa, na ingate, does not get disturbed, and he sees all this like he is watching a movie. Similarly, the understanding of the wise is sama in all the worldly gains and losses, remains same in the pain, joy, remains composed, same vision for the sand, stand or gold, and remains same in like and dislike, and one who remains calm, patient, and steady in this respect and praise, because he understands that the reason is the nimitta. This is not basically because of, he does not get too affected. Similarly, in respect, disrespect, similarly, does not take sides between friends and foes, and he has given up all the desires for action, that person is called a gunatita person. Finally, the answer to the third question of Arjuna, Bhagavan says, Avyabhicharena bhakti yoga sevate. One who worships with one-pointed devotion, that person crosses all the three gunas and becomes eligible to understand this Atma Jnana, which Bhagavan is giving in the last shloka, Brahmana hi pratishtha aham. I am the manifest Brahman. He says, Amrutasya, which is immortal, which is eternal, avyasya, it is unchanging, indestructible, it is shashvatasya, dharmasya, which is ever-present dharma, sukhasya ekantikasya cha, and it's ever bliss form, ananda swarupa. So with this we come to the end of the 14th adhyaya of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. The 15th adhyaya is a Purushottama Yoga. It is a short but a very profound adhyaya consisting of 20 shlokas. It is a very well-known adhyaya for memorization. It takes up many subjects. Bhagavan starts with the description of the cosmic tree, the Sansara Vriksha, talks about the Vairagya, Asangata, how we can Asanga Shastrena, Dradena Chitva, and then describes the onward journey, Gati of the Jiva Swarupa, Mamai Vansho Jiva Loke, Ishvara Swarupa, Natad Pasayate Suryo, and describes the Tattva and its benefits knowing the Tattva. So let us start with the first shloka of the 15th adhyaya. Bhagavan starts, there is no question of Arjuna. He starts describing the cosmic tree. He still has a lot to tell Arjuna. And he describes this Sansar Vriksha, Urdhva Mula, which has the roots which are upwards, which are highest. Paramatma and God is the Mula. It's the foundation, it is the roots of all the Sansar Vriksha. Because only if there are Mula, only from the roots, that the entire tree shoots out. And that's how other Shakam, the main branches are downwards, the Maya, Prakriti. And it is like Ashwatham. It is a people tree which is not going to remain in the future. It is Anitya. It is Avyayam, which is unchanging, which is keeps going on and on like a flow of the river. Chandasi Asya Paranani means the leaves are like Vedas which protect the man, beautify the life, and provides peace to one who takes shelter. And one who knows the secret of this tree, along with the roots, is a person who really knows the Veda well, is a wise person. In the second shloka, Bhagavan describes the Sansar Vriksha in more detail. He says the branches Maya are quite well spread out. They are nourished by the Guna Prabuddha, the Sattva, Rajas, and the Tama. Vishaya Pravala, objects are like newly formed trees, leaves, because they attract all of us through objects, attract us. And the deep down, the roots are very well spread out, like the Raga, Dvesha, and that's how we forget our Urdhva Mula, the Paramatma Tattva, Karmanu Bandhini Manushaloka, which bind the people by actions, and that is how Bhagavan, the third shloka tells us about the Sansar Vriksha, that this world, the Rupa Masya, Tathopalabhyate, it does not, this world is not truly as what is appears. It has no Adi, it has no end, and that's why it has no pratishtha of its own. It has no sthiti, it has no existence. It is all very transient, it is all ever changing. And Suvirudha Moolam, the Maya, the roots are so strong, it is very difficult to destroy the Sansar Vriksha. But Bhagavan says you have to first understand the Sansar Vriksha and then destroy the Sansar Vriksha with the acts of unattachment, Vairagya. Asanga Shastrena, Dradhena Chitva, with a very firm resolution that we want to get about this. And then what do we need to do? In the fourth shloka, Bhagavan says the final goal of the mankind is Tatpad Prapti Tatah. Then after destroying the Sansar Vriksha, Tat Padam Parimargitavyam, we should try and attain the highest Tattva, the Paramatma Tattva, which is very Sukshma, where once we have gone there, Yasmin Gatana Nivartanti Bhuyaha, after attaining which one will not come back on this mortal world, one will not need to take birth on this world. Tameva Agyam Purusham Prapadya, to that Adu Purusha I surrender, from where Prasuti, Pravrutti, Prasuta Purani, from where this entire universe begins. And then Bhagavan describes Sadguna Sampatti, one who is eligible for this Atma Jnana, this Tatpad Prapti, Nirmana Moha, one who is devoid of the respect and the Moha, Jita Sangha Dosha, one who has won over the vice of attachment, the Sangha Dosha, Adhyatmanitva, one who is ever involved in spiritual practice. Vinivrutta Kamaha, one whose desires are completely renounced. Dvandvair Vimukta, Sukha Dukkha Sanya, he is devoid of all the dualities in our life which make us happy, sad, all this mana, apmana, all this stuti, ninda. Gachanti amudha padamavyayam tata. That wise person attains the highest goal, which is unchanging Paramatma Tattva. He attains a moksha. So this is how Bhagavan describes all the Satguna. And then he starts describing the eternal Tattva, and which is the goal. Natad bhasayate surya. Sun cannot illuminate that Tattva, neither the moon nor the fire can illuminate this Tattva, because the Tattva itself is Swayam Prakash. After attaining which, Yatgatva Nanivartante, people don't have to come back to this world. That is my highest abode. Tattamam Paramam Mama. Bhagavan says that is my highest abode. Abode is not the place or residence of the God. Bhagavan is Sarva Vyapaka, is a Chaitanya Swarupa. He says that is my highest Swarupa. As being Chaitanya Swarupa, he illuminates all the sun, moon, and the fire. All these cannot illuminate this Atma Tattva. In the next few shlokas, Bhagavan describes the Jiva and its onward journey on death. It says, Mama eva ansha, Mama evansho Jiva loke. In this world, Jiva, who keeps changing the bodies, is my own ansha, is my own part. Mana shashtani indriyani praktistani karshati. At the time of death, the Jiva attracts the mind. Along with the mind and along with all the Sukshma Sharira, does his onward journey. Death itself is not an end point, but it is a journey, onward journey. It starts a new journey here, from here. That's what Bhagavan says. So it's important to understand when Bhagavan says, Mama eva jiva ansha. The Jiva is my ansha. What does Bhagavan mean? Ansha, what Vedanta says, is it's not the small part and the big part, but it is the part and parcel. That means something like, the waves and the ocean, the water itself, Mati and the Ghata, all the pots and the sand, where sand is behind all the pots. Similarly, Bimba Pratibimba, reflection, and the real Bimba, all this is like one and the same. There is no difference. Bhagavan says, Mama eva ansha. And then Jeev's onward journey, Shariram Yadavapnoti Yachap Yuktramati Ishwaraha. This Jiva or the Jivatma leaves one body and attains another body, along with Ruhitva Etani Sanyati, along with the mind and the senses, the Sukshma Sharira, with all the sanskaras that are hidden in it, all our karma phala, papa, punya, all the sanskara are there, and it goes, and Bhagavan describes it just as Vayu Gandhani Vashayat. Just like the wind carries a smell from one place to other, smell of a flower from one place to other, which is sukshma, which is not seen. Similarly, this Jiva also does his onward journey, which is not seen easily. And how Jiva is bound to the sansara by enjoying the bhoga, Bhagavan says, Kshotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam grana evacha. These five knowledge senses, adhishtaya manah cha, along with the mind. Mind has to be there to understand these five senses or to have this knowledge. Vishayanupasevate, for enjoying the bhoga of the sense objects, the Vishaya bhoga. And then how the Jiva can be freed in all the states, Utkramantam, while living the body, or Sthitam Vapi, by remaining steady in the one body, Bhunjanam, by enjoying the objects, or while being involved in Gunanvitam, involved in karma, actions by gunas. He says, in all these states, the Jiva is the Brahma. One who is obsessed with sense pleasures, Vimuda, na anupashyanti. Pashyanti, only Gnana Chakshusha, one who is only wise person, who has a wisdom eyes, will be able to see this, how one actor is playing different roles. But in spite of trying, why some people cannot understand this truth, is not an adhikari. Bhagavan says, Yatanto yoginaschainam pasyanatmanyavastitam. That yogi, pursuer with sadhana, sees the truth inside his own self. Yatanta api akrutatmanaha. In spite of trying, that akrutatmanaha, one who is intellect, his mind is not purified, is not subtle, is not cultivated, and achetasa, one who is not aware and thoughtful, a viveka person, is unable to perceive this reality. Enam pashyanti, is not able to see this reality. Bhagavan says, Yadadityam, then he is showing all his vibhutis again. Yadadityagatam tejo jagad bhasayate kilam. Just as the sun rises and it lights and it illuminates the entire world, similarly the moon and the fire, know that all this luminance of the sun, the moon and the fire is because of me. Matta eva, everything is because of me. Bhagavan says, Mamakam. And Bhagavan sustains and nurtures all the beings. He says, Gama Vishyacha Bhutani. He says, I enter the earth and Dharayami Am Ojasa, by my radiance, by my luminance, I sustain all the lives. I am the nurturer of all the lives. Pushnami cha ushadi sarvaha. I also nurture all the plants, vegetables by Soma Bhutva Rasatmaka. As a moon, I provide test or rasa in all these. This is Bhagavan says. And then he says, Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva. As a fire of digestion, Jasaragni, I digest all the food that you eat. I reside in the body of all the beings, and along with the prana, apana, I am this. All this prana shakti is also through me. I digest the 4 types of food that you eat, Bhagavan says. And then he says, if you want to see me everywhere, sarvatra. He says, I am residing in the hearts of all, sarvasya cha aham, hridisannivishtaha, mattaha, only through me, only because of me, smrutihi, memory, shakti, the power of gnana, the knowledge, and apohanam. Apohanam means forgetfulness. That power is also because of me. He says, I am the only one to be known by the Vedas. Vedanta Krut, I am the one who reveals this knowledge of the Vedanta, and I'm the one who's Vedavit, who is the knowledgeable, the wise. In all the forms you should try and see me. I am the Vedas, I am to be known. I am the only to be known. I am the person who has given the knowledge. Bhagavan says, you should know me. And then in the summarizing this Adhyaya, Bhagavan says, in universe there are 2 types of Purusha, Kshara Purusha and the Akshara Purusha. The Kshara Purusha are the perishable, the destructible, and the Akshara are the imperishable or unchanging, indestructible. He says, Kshara Sarvani Bhutani, all the beings in this world are ephemeral, they are all Kshara, they are all decaying every time, every moment. Kutastha, Akshara Uchyate. Kutastha is the Maya. Kutastha word is normally used for Brahma, but here it is used for Maya, which is perpetual, which is Akshara, which is unchanging Maya Tattva, because Bhagavan is going to describe the Uttama Tattva, Brahma Tattva later on. And then in the next shloka, he says, Uttama Purushastvanyaha. Uttama Purusha is Anya, is different. The highest self is completely different, distinct from all this Kshara and the Akshara Purusha. He says it is known as Paramatma iti Udayutaha. Is known as Paramatma, which Lokatrayam Avishya, which pervades all the 3 lokas. It is Sarva Vyapaka, Vibharti, it nurtures all, and it is Avyaya, it is unchanging, indestructible, and it is also called Ishvara, is the Lord of all the beings. And then Bhagavan describes this Uttama Purusha and says that this is nothing but Purushottama, Yasmat Aham Ksharamatiha. I am different from the Kshara and I am also higher than the Akshara Purusha. Therefore, Ataha Lokecha Vedecha, in the world and in the Vedas, Asmi Prathita Purushottamaha. Bhagavan says, I am known as Purushottama. Bhagavan gives his self-introduction, who he is, and ultimate knowledge of understanding this Tattva as Purushottama, as Uttama Purusha, is that one who is relieved of all the delusions, moha, and knows, Bhagavan says, knows me as this Purushottama Sarvatra Hridivashti Sannivishtaha. That person knows everything. That person becomes Sarvavita. He is Bhajati Mam Sarva Bhavena Bharata, is devoted to me with all his mind, intellect. That Sarvatra he sees one and the same thing. And finally, in the last shloka, Bhagavan says, what is the benefit of knowing this Purushottama? Oh Arjuna, he says, this is the Guhyatamam Shastram. Iti Guhyatamam Shastram, this is the most profound secret knowledge that I am giving you, the knowledge of the self, the Atma Gnana. Idam Uktam Mayanaga, which has been told to you by myself, none other than me, Swayam, myself has given you, O Bharata. Etad Buddhva, one who knows this, Buddhiman Syat, he is indeed a person who is intelligent. The person God has given us is intelligent only to know this Atma Tattva. That is a real use of our intelligence. He says, Bhagavan says, Kritakrutyascha, and that person becomes complete, paripurna in all respects. He is nirapeksha, he does not have any expectation, does not have any desires. That person becomes a wise, enlightened person. So with this, we come to the end of the 15th Adhyaya of Sri Bhagavad Gita. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parah Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.